Hey guys, Jay here. In this video today, I have two good news and one bad news for you guys about AFK build in particular, or zero button build in particular. So first, I want to show you a map. This is a handpicked map in a special tab, and I would do this one. Inventory is half filled. That's very good. So I would do it in this zone. No, this is a citadel. Is there anything that has like 4 things on it? This has only 1 thing on it. 1 on it. Ooh, this has 5 things on it. Yo, this has to be hard. Let's do it. Step A. And for context, right? Right now, this is a stat stacking character, so Flurry is normally the play. But I would not be using Flurry for the majority of this map. Instead, I will clear with my face and my fist, which is a shattering palm. If you consider this a button, then this becomes a zero button build. But it is a movement ability, so yeah. Normally, movement ability is excluded from the count of button when we advertise about a build in POE1. Oh, what the fuck happened? Okay, so that is why I will call it. I will advertise this one as still a zero button build, but you can use the shattering palm. And as you can see, it doesn't deals damage. Actually, if you notice, it doesn't actually deals damage. What deals damage is a different skill. And it is this thing over here. Wind Dancer. I will need to kill this rare, because this skill is only okay enough for clearing, but not for bossing. So, but not for single target. So, let me find a lot of monster. Okay, see, as you can see there, I don't even do anything and they just explode and die. So let me find a lot of monster. Right? Yep, just like that. There is even a rare in that pack, but you can see the aura. So there's a rare there. Again, the explosion is not as good if you don't use the shattering palm. Okay, what has happened? The character is very unoptimized, so yeah, for defense and stuff like that, I would need to actually just fine tune it. But you got the idea of why this can be like a zero button build, and it is around the Wind Dancer, Hero of Ice, and obviously the ring that goes with Hero of Ice, which is this ring over here. It makes the Hero of Ice chain on itself. So the initial damage we deal with Wind Dance, it is pretty much like a attack version of the Arctic Armor, and it's scale off of your attack damage. So it is much easier to scale the damage. In this case, I am... Ooh! In this case, I am scaling all the damage from Hands of Wisdom in action. You can just literally use any weapon with high damage. This doesn't care about attack speed, it just cares about the damage. So just try to get as much damage as possible, basically. The one downside sometimes you will see there is, if you continue to get hit, you will not gain charges. You will gain charges when you are not hit recently in the last 1.3 second. So if you don't get hit, you will gain charges, and if you get hit, you will expend the charges to deal damage. You just need 1 charge, by the way. You just need 1 charge, but you need a charge. So it is slightly clunky and inconsistent, but very slightly, I would say. So it should work really well, I think. At least for now, this is probably the smoothest setup, and you can easily have an option for single target. For example, here in this case, I am using a staff, so I can use like Flurry for single target. I can put down the bell for single target. If you use a mace, for example, you can obviously just put down a Hammer of the God and instantly kills everything. Not everything, but instantly kill the boss. Depending on how you scale the damage, that depends on your build. So literally, this setup can be used on any attack build. You don't even need a specific build for it. You just need an attack build. That's not evasion based. Because if you evade everything, you will not deal damage. Let me just run around a little. I want to wait for everything to spawn. Then I hit it once here, and yeah, everything just exploded, as you can see. So if you want to, you can use this setup for clearing, and then for like bosses, you can just obviously use a any skill that I just mentioned. So this is the first good news. So it is an option for like pseudo zero button. Again, you can walk around. If for this particular build, if you go for the stat stacking route, I would recommend you to go for full intelligence. So like stacking intelligence, get a lot of mana and go for Mind Over Matter or something like that. And you can use this setup to deal damage to enemies around you. And yeah. The setup should need 3 Dragon as well, by the way, because it allows the lightning damage, which is the base from Wisdom in Action, to actually chill and just use the auxiliary thingy here for chain reaction. So this is the first good news. The second is not yet in the game, but is coming very soon. So what it is this is a summary of the patch note. There's a lot of huge win here. They have the map tab, they have the 6 portal on Pinnacle Fights, they have Citadel buff, they have Jungron's nerf, and then Trigger nerf, which technically is also a rephrase of Jungron's nerf. So Grenade, a bunch of monster that is overtuned got like nerf as well, so it's very good overall. And most importantly, this is a good news that specifically affect zero button build. Reviving minions that died out of range will immediately revive near you. Why is this very big? Well, for context, the first character that I've made in the game is this Uncle Dog Walker character. It used to be initially, I even have a very spicy video, you know, talking shit about the fact that they nerfed the build. They not nerf, but they destroy the build. But I make like a auto bomber zero button build that works, and it functions around the fact that I can use a lot of skeletal clerics as corpses with sacrifice support. So the main issue that we run into with that particular setup is the clerics that would just lag behind our character. For whatever reason, they can be stopping for casting the revival skill. They can be stuck on monster. They can be stuck on rocks, on trees, on walls, on doors, on bridges, on a lot of things. But regardless of the reason, if they are out of our screen, they will despawn and be considered death. So we need to wait for a whole 10 seconds, which is the default revive. I can be wrong there, but it's like 10 second-ish revive time to actually be back. And that timer can be reset with anything that dies later, which we are killing our minion with corpse weight, right? Right now, it should not be a problem. Not right now, but in the patch. When the patch hit tomorrow, it should not be a problem. So this will allow us to have an infinite amount of clerics. Just an infinite amount of clerics. So you can either, just right now, I think the closest one that I know right now is Pidgeot 2. Pidgeot 2. The guy. Yeah, if you know him, you know him. If you don't know him, you don't know him anyway. So he have a build that is the Pathfinder corpse weight build that use the cleric setup. So the idea behind the cleric setup is the clerics will just revive each other, and you will always not run out of minions to destroy with the corpse weight boots. So that is a very, very good, very good setup. I think that is probably the smoothest setup that we can have. I will revisit it, but I think there is another way that we can do it. So if the clerics, if you don't want to scale the health of the minion as the damage, you can go for the cast on minion death route. So you just walk around, and when you walk around, you kill your minion. That will feel cast on minion death. And yeah, it would just trigger spells, and whatever spell you want, probably comment. So yeah, maybe that is going to be a decent enough build when this patch hit, because you can very reliably have a lot of minions of clerics. They are very cheap, they do not have a lot of health, so might not be the best way to scale off their health for damage. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, this is a huge buff to the corpse weight clerics setup. So I think I will revisit this setup. I will play with it. I think this is probably going to be one of the best feeling AFK build, like walking simulator build that you can do. And I will do it after the patch actually hit, because there is no point doing it before the patch, right? It doesn't change anything. The last one, this is a bad news, and this is around it is the autosparker. Okay, this is a zone that I used to use for testing, so let me just reset the zone. It is in Act 3 Cruel, so pretty close to Tier 1 map, but again, it is a failed experiment anyway, and I will talk about why it failed and how potentially can we still have hopes for this setup, right? So where it fails is it does not have enough damage. Simple. What we do here, what we can do here in the low tier map, not low tier map, but low tier zone, it is very hard to replicate in high tier, given if you have the same budget that as I do. But obviously if you have like higher budget, if you have like better gear, more damage, you scale it with Archmage, you might have, you know, a much better. I will, you know, go back to this setup with more money and try to make it work. Really, I think all that matter right now is just money. Not money, but not real money, but currency in the game, right? So yeah, it can be very nice. I really like the feel of this build though. I can imagine myself playing this build in endgame like forever. Okay, it's a little bit weird, but anyway, it just doesn't have enough damage, and I don't think I can find a way to actually give it enough damage, because it is very limited. If you play without Pyromantic Pact, I think you probably need to stack like 5 of these jewels for 2% mana on kill. So you would need like 10% mana on kill to even make it smooth enough to playable. And that is, I would say, without playing with Mind Over Matter. So if you take any damage which drain your mana with Mind Over Matter or any like mana based build, you will suffer from the mana problem 100%, because if you have Archmage, each of this spark is going to drain an insane amount of mana, and you cannot control how many spark you are casting like normal casting, because it trigger on kill. So more monster equals more mana cost equals more, you know, spark, right? So overall it's just not good. Actually two good things that I found out is Shock Siphon exists. Probably a lot of you guys already know this, but I didn't because I've not played with Energy Shield. But apparently this exists, and it is a very good addition to this one for recovery. And second, I think Barrier Invocation is very nice for this one, especially for Infernal Flame, because Infernal Flame damage our character, it will damage to Energy Shield, and because it damage to Energy Shield, it allows us to cast Barrier Invocation. And Barrier Invocation is, well, it technically is the button, but you can bind it to your movement mouse click over here. So if you play on PC, if you play with a mouse, normally like I do here, you'll see that yeah, it is not an extra button. It's just a glorified movement button. So you have to press it anyways. I would not consider this one to be one button. And if you pressed it anyway, as you can see here, it aids with initial kill. It helps with killing a monster initially, and then the multiple spark can just take care of the rest of the area, basically, of the screen, maybe two screen depending on the layout. So my setup is lightning warp. Why? Because lightning warp will create a shock round, so it bypassed any requirement to shock an enemy. So enemies on the shock round is shocked, and if you kill it with comment, it is a shocked enemy. So yeah, overall it just works pretty nice. Unfortunately, not enough damage. With like a 3 links here, I would expect it to at least be able to do like a yellow tier map. It doesn't. It can barely do like tier 1, tier 2. And it's not comfortable at all. So yeah, sad. So thanks for watching, guys. That is everything I want to talk about this video. So long story short, you can play like a pseudo 0 button build with the Wind Dancer. Hey, that is a better optic armor that you can scale with attack. In the upcoming patch, you can also play a better setup with the Corpse Weight build. So that is a first true AFK build. And last but not least, the bad news. The autospark right now doesn't really work. By the way, one quick thing, if you want to talk about demon form, remember that demon form will disable your weapon, which means you do not trigger spark, which defeat the whole purpose. So demon form sadly is not an option. We cannot go for it, and we will need something that heavy of a like scaling mechanism. So right now I think the only thing that we can go for is Archmage. So I will revisit this character as a Archmage, probably not as an Infernalist anymore, because Archmage, we don't play around Pyromantic path. We need to play around something else. And I don't think this is a good Archmage character. Maybe I will play Gemling, because we can have a lot of mana, or maybe we can play as a Sorcerer, because yeah, normally Sorcerer. But Sorcerer benefit a lot from the Arcane Search scaling, which we don't care about cast speed, so I think maybe I would just go Gemling Legionnaire. Probably that is the best way for me. I would just go mana stacking a lot of mana. Obviously, we cannot stack a huge amount of mana because we cannot use the Mahusoto shield, and we can only use this staff. So yeah, it's not going to be a very fun experience if we don't have a lot of money, because we need Archmage gear, which is very expensive. So again, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Peace.